Hey, and welcome to the Snelling Forging the Future podcast. I'm your host, Bennett Richardson, and I'm joined here today by Russ from Service Corporation. Service is a family owned manufacturing company specializing in industrial and decorative coatings. Russ has been with the company for about 15 years and oversees multiple production departments. Russ, thanks for joining today.
Oh, yeah, it's happy to join you.
Yeah. Well, Russ, I touched a little bit on the background there, but do you want to go into more detail about service?
Yeah, so ServiScreen is like you said, a family-owned business, and I don't know how many generations it goes back, honestly, because I started after it's been established. But they're owned by the Van Oss family, and they kind of, I guess, took me under their wing over the last 15 years, and I almost feel like a family myself, and I feel like a son of theirs. Yeah, I don't know, one of their sons I worked closely with for the last 15 years. Micah Van Oss, great guy, great mind. His dad, Arlen Van Oss, very curious mind. He's always trying to invent the next thing, very ingenuitive in his mind, and always looking for the next challenge, I guess.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
Okay. And can you remind me a little bit about y'all's operations? How big the company is? How many facilities you have?
so it's it's not very big, but it is big at the same time if you think about it. So for a
Okay.
family-owned business, it has 3 buildings,
Okay.
and it started out as a spray application business, and
Sure.
that was like the beginning. And then it morphed into screen printing. And then the screen printing morphed into like polyurea coatings. And then that morphed into, and then it just kind of developed more of the screen printing and the pad printings and then going into that world. But we have one building that does like automotive coatings, like functional coatings, I like to call like this part of the
Sure.
building is where I started. Like graphite coatings, ceramic coatings, copper coatings, the 2-part polyurea coatings, like the stuff that goes in truck bed liners and
Right.
running boards on trucks and stuff. A wet spray, do things like robots and fuel pumps. And then the other building is decorative screen printing, not t-shirts or textile printing at all. It's more military, medical, office furniture, bottles, I mean, you name it. And then they
Mhm.
also make our own screens. And then the third building is a sister company of ServiScreen that is called Innovative Machines. We do build machines, provide tooling, you name it. It's machine shop, really. But
Right.
Innovative Machines, they do a lot for ServiceScreen and a lot for other customers around the States, around America. I think we've done things out of the States too, like Mexico, for instance.
Cool. Cool. Well, that's awesome. A lot of buildings, good amount of people. Sounds like it's probably an interesting place to be a manager at. You've been at Service for about 15 years, like we've mentioned, and you've worked your
Yeah.
way up, I understand. Can you walk us through how your role evolved and what you're responsible for today?
Yeah. So I started at Service as a contact worker, like a temp worker. And I was originally yeah. I was originally only supposed to work for the summer, like a couple months, maybe 3 months. My skills and attitude were noticed, and I was asked to stay on for a full-time employee. And then I progressed to a team lead within a year after that. And then 2 years later, I was asked to be an assistant manager. And ServiceScreen likes to promote within anywhere they can. They'll see you, they'll recognize you, and say, "Hey, here's an opportunity." So they'll help you grow and like help the employees grow if they want to. I always tell my employees you want to work as hard as you want to get paid. And like I'm a prime example of that. My story here just kind of says it all.
Yeah.
So then after becoming assistant manager of that department, the department grew in size and we became 3 shifts, approximately like 27-ish people, up and down, of course. I think 30 some, roughly stayed around the 25, 27 range for a few years. 3 years later, I became the department manager. And during that year, or during those 3 years, we dropped down to 2 shifts because we decided to put some plans and stuff in place to run a little more lean. And we're actually
Sure.
producing more product with better talent of people with 2 shifts instead of 3. So it was huge for that. Those years we made so much money, and with the right amount of people, building the right team, and man, I get into it later, but building the right team was hard to do. But
Sure.
yeah, I after that, 3 years later after that, I was asked to run another department. And
Yep.
then 3 years after that, run another department and another department. And then after a few years, and like we combined a couple of departments. So currently I am the production manager of 3 different departments, as we combine two of them, like I said, and I'm responsible for communication, shipping and receiving, artwork, scheduling, hiring, firing, disciplinary actions, performance reviews, R&D, some quoting and sales stuff, customer tours. I mean, the list goes on of the different hats I wear depending on what day or
Yeah.
project we're working on. I mean, project manager probably falls in there too somewhere.
I feel like now is an appropriate time to thank you for joining this call again. How are you fitting this into your schedule? That sounds like you must just be very,
Well,
very busy.
I am. And one thing that I like to pride myself in is time, like time management, being able to balance my time, what is important, what is priority, and what I feel like I just need to do myself. Like maybe this isn't something I needed to do, but something was put on me that I should do it. Make time for it.
Mm.
Why not? Something different. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've taken on a lot, but you're taking it in stride. I
hmm
mean, it sounds like ServiScreen has grown a lot over the years. In fact,
Yeah.
I believe from our prior conversation, you mentioned you've grown from an industrial painting into several niche coatings and decorative work. What part of the business are you most excited about right now, and why?
I think the service has grown a lot over the time that I've been there. Of course, they were well established before I started. Service is family owned, and because of Arlen's curious mind, he wants to take on challenges that most
Yep.
places don't want. We get a lot of calls that, hey, all these places pushed me away. I can't do it. And we're like, what do you got? Let's see what we can do.
Mhm.
We try to take everything that people don't want to do and make it happen. Like we just
Yep.
kind of just do it. We try to take their dream or their product and be like, look, we can do it this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. We'll engineer it for you. Like we'll make it happen. We'll take what's on paper in your mind and then we'll try to help you make product. We can even connect people with, we've had quite a few inventors come through our place. And we've connected them with like plastic plates and different places that they can get stuff done. And then they come through us and it's like, we're not selfish. ServiceScreen is like Christian based. We have a Christian foundation in that. And we always want to help people too. So it helps them, helps us. You never know when you throw that boomerang out, when it's going to come back to you. You know what I mean? It
Sure.
doesn't always come back tenfold, but hey, it's there. But there's not many things that we won't do or turn away, I should say, like all the different types of requests. But as of late, we have started printing like hard hats for a few different customers, and they have hundreds of end customers from like LG Energy Solutions to like Hershey's to Reese's. I mean, I've seen some icebreakers, Marathon gas stations, those like big names too, even some I never even
Yeah.
heard of. But some of the most exciting things I'd say are the creative challenging ones, like the medical, militaries and automotives, the aerospace, where we have to come up with a tooling design and get it from idea to reality for, 90% of those customers. I think those are the
Right.
most exciting, most challenging ones. And like a lot of those I can't even name or talk about, but
Yeah.
I can say things like they have this thing we could come up with. It's like, well, if we print this on plastic and layer it with this color, layer it with that color, and put a light behind it, it could look like this.
Right.
There's several things. Or we take a piece of plastic and then it gets metallized into a mirror, for instance, and then we put diffuser on that for light backing. So it becomes a mirror for a airplane. I just got to be careful of the words I'm saying. A mirror for an airplane, so it becomes lightweight rather than like glass or something up in an airplane, for instance. Or several different customers. Like those ones are quite exciting, quite challenging because they're just like you're in your mind. You're like, if we can do it like this, and then we have this brainstorming session because I can't take full responsibility for like my team's brains here, and like
Right.
I delegate stuff and whatnot. Like we have a great quality manager and great minds in our engineering department, and like we all come together and be like, oh, let's figure out how we can do this, and then we're just like bouncing ideas and stuff back and forth, and then we put something together and we try it. So I'd say those are the most exciting things that come across
Yeah.
through ServiceScreen.
That's awesome. And it sounds like it's very rewarding from the manager things developed and new challenges come across your desk. That sounds like it would be a great. Well, you mentioned that your department shrunk a little bit. I know you had told me that you went from 27 people down to 12 after COVID. Lots of companies were experiencing the same. Were there any big operational challenges? Is that what you were referring to earlier when you said the shift went from third to second? When you dropped the third shift?
Yeah, let me say, like, we lost a lot of customers due to the shutdowns of like COVID. And those presented itself with its own operational challenges. And it forced most of our customers to close their doors or find a different way to do it themselves. That was a lot of the things because the only things that were open at the time were agricultural, automotive, and we were still doing product for those guys. But all the other places that couldn't have their doors open either closed their doors, and we lost a lot. So we ended up pivoting towards a lot more, like we used to do a lot of New Holland Brewery bottles and decorative bottles for them. We did Old World olive oil bottles, and we did all these things that didn't really matter when COVID shut everything down.
Right.
So we had to shift our gears and push more towards like the medical, and we were doing Velcro tabs for medical stuff, for instance. It didn't seem like it was needed, but because it was medical,
Right.
we could have our doors open printing parts. So we had to kind of figure out, kind of navigate through what would that mean for us in our future as a service to keep moving forward, to have the longevity,
Right.
We either
Were
had,
y'all always this open-ended with what you could work on, like what industry you could serve, that kind of thing? Or did COVID necessitate that, and that's when you transitioned into that?
No, I would say the way the Van Osses wanted to run their business was to try to get the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and try to
Right.
watch what we're going to be doing next. I mean, we ventured off into thermo transfer, heat stamping, DTS printing, UV DTS printing, DTF stuff for shirts and kind of that stuff. The market's pretty saturated for the shirt stuff, so we try to stay away from that. There's a lot of people out there already doing that stuff. We all sorts of things from like metallic powders in our inks to have a metallic finish, for instance, or like a mirror, liquid mirror, basically, that we can screen print on stuff. Silicone for like a soft touch, tacky, like some like phone holders are like, they have like a tacky finish or a tacky surface. But what really sucked during that time is like when we went from like 27 employees back down to, I'd say 10, 12 at points, would be like I had to sift through the employees that we had and lay off good people. That was probably the biggest challenge. And
Yeah.
then finding good talent when others wanted to leave because you let their friend go, or they were afraid of what's going to happen next and decided that they could find a different job elsewhere or a better job elsewhere. So we were juggling what we could find, and finding good talent was what we needed. And we had to find people that had to fit in a very specific puzzle, that I like to call it. Like people had to really fit in with each other. And I do say temp service at the time, like staffing services and temp service at the time, were a huge help. I mean, they helped like sift through and help us hire sooner. And it's just like, it was like an avenue for us to be like, hey, help me find this, that. Just give them a list of things of a person that we would want. And they would send us a guy, I would interview him. And then it would be like a cut and dry interview because they would already be like almost fit. And then I'd,
Right.
kind of do a quick interview. Yeah. And then they would help us hire quicker. But I think a close second around that time would be like resource management. Lots of things were hard to get, and they were like long leads times, which caused scheduling delays to the customers. And these things are really threatened the longevity, and it hit our bottom line hard. So we had to kind of just roll in with, well, we need to shrink not only our team because of the product and the sales that we're going to do, but we also had to make that team better and have that team kind of snowball into bigger and better too with their skills. So we cross-train everybody that we can at ServiScreen to do just about anything. So our team can just help them or help this or, anything.
I was just speaking in another excuse me. I was just speaking with someone in another conversation about how important cross-training is. You said that was something you were doing during those challenging times. That's something you've always
very
prioritized?
Important. Yeah, it's something even before COVID that it just makes sense. Because like if I had one guy here printing my automotive parts, okay, what if he calls in sick? That whole line is down, which means I'm losing $6 a minute, and then I'm also having 4 people standing around. It's just like, if they have the mentality to do it, then I'm putting them on to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is. And like I'm willing to give everyone a try on anything because you never know what people can learn. I always used to say like you can't judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like your management, your bosses came into that with the same attitude with your application and your career food service. So I can see why you would bring that into new employees as well. That's fantastic. Well, Russ, you mentioned R&D projects for customers don't give a ton of direction in our previous conversation. How do you decide what's worth pursuing versus what's likely to become a time sink?
Most of the R&D work we would charge like time and materials unless it has a potential to be a big gain financially to service. Then we would tend to either split the cost or absorb it, knowing it could be a future customer. But I'd say good time management and a good team makes almost all the requests worth some effort towards the R&D. But there are
Yeah,
some it's just like, well, that's not in our wheelhouse at all. We'd have to invest this much into it just to get it started. So we do
sure.
turn away some things, and then there's also the ones that are like, oh, this is so big, we would love to have this, but we would disappoint them trying to get it going because it'd
Sure.
be out of our hands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something kind of in recruiting that is similar. It's important to oversell and make sure that you're promising quality work to the appropriate amount of people. Well, that definitely makes sense to us. Another question I had was when you do hire, you had mentioned you were known for asking very out of the box questions. What are you really trying to learn about a person beyond what's on their resume? Maybe
It's
an
like,
example of those questions could be fun.
yeah. So considering you have, say, like 30 minutes or so to get to know somebody during an interview, enough to tell if they could be a good fit or not to work with your team. We run a lean team and we rely on each other and everywhere to assist to cover any jobs that we can happen. So I take that 30 minutes to think of any questions because most people are going to tell you what they want to hear, tell you what you want to hear to get the job. It's like, oh, do you come to work on time? Do you have your own reliable transportation? And it's just like all those average questions that people already have the answers to. So then I need to find real people, not just some warm body to put in this position. I need to find the next cog in that clock I need to keep running. You know what I mean? That perfect fit that gets right in there and jumps right in and keeps everything running smooth.
Sure.
So yeah, I'd ask things to get to know their character instead of their work ethic. Because to me, that's more important to know how a person functions or makes decisions rather than what they say they can do, on paper or what they, just going to tell you. So I'd ask things like, what would your parents say is the best quality about you? It gets them thinking, and they're not prepared for that answer, so it's almost truthful. I'd ask things like, what is your favorite hobby? Because then you can, based off their hobby, you can kind of get to know what do they like to do. It's just, I ask the random questions, but it gets to know them enough to jog their brain to give you a straight, trustworthy answer. And then you get to know their character, and then you get to know, like, all right, they must like this type of things, or their parents consider them like this. It's like, okay, you could be a good person to be right for this team.
Right. I love it. I love that shakes people out of the formulaic answers to things that they have said 100 times in 100 other interviews. Hey, Russ, what's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby?
Yeah.
I'd say right now I like playing disc golf, getting out there and hiking, playing disc golf. Yeah.
I knew I should ask you. I love disc golf. I'm not very good at it, but when I play, it's a lot of fun.
I was out in Colorado a few years ago to help with a work and witness trip at Golden Bell Campground. I think it's maybe not far from where you guys are stationed.
Yeah.
And they had a disc golf course that was kind of raggedy. But we were there trying to fix their mini golf course and get things up and running for the year. And I wanted to just fix their disc golf course when I was there. That urge because I'm a disc golfer, but I just didn't have the time to help them out.
Dang. Yeah. Where in Colorado were you at that point? I don't know.
Golden Bell Campground, actually.
Okay.
I stayed in a tent with my kids at like 9,600 elevation in a tent, basically on the side of a mountain kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it rained, it snowed in August, making a snowball in August. I still have that picture.
Sure.
But that was fascinating. Just to have a snowball in August. Like it was different to me because Michigan.
For sure.
Yeah, I like cool. Traveling, hiking, and those kind of things, like being outdoors and just jumping into something, doing something different, saying yes to those things you don't normally like. I like to get uncomfortable to get comfortable with something. That's like where my mindset is. Yeah.
Sounds like we're kindred spirits. I love all that stuff. Being outdoors is the most important thing. Well, Russ, back to the podcast at hand. What has been the most frustrating part of building a team? And what have you learned about hiring that you didn't know earlier in?
I'd say the most frustrating thing about hiring is hiring the wrong person. Wasting that time to go through the interview, the drug screening, all that stuff that, that we have to do for the state stuff. And then they either don't show up or the first week they quit or they're just not what they say on paper or not what they did. So that was why I started asking the questions that I would ask, because for a while it'd be like, do you have reliable transportation? Here, can you do a simple math? I would just ask him just these questions. Are you colorblind? Those kind of things, like, because didn't know really, just let's get a body in here and see how they work was my mindset. Let's just throw somebody in here. Well, if they don't work, they're gone. They don't, and just kind of cycle through people. But I would say having to go back through that process all over again after hiring a bad person. Like, if I could turn back
Yeah.
time on some of the early hire decisions, I would tell myself to use staffing services sooner, like 100%. I mean, we've had so many great employees through various staffing and temp service that ended up being permanent hires. Like, my assistant manager right now, I believe, was hired through a temp service. And actually, I think most of our employees right now were hired through temp services.
Wow.
And they're much bigger help than I guess what people may come out to be.
Mhm.
They help sift through the ugly, the bad, it's just, if I could turn back time on the early hires, I would tell myself that. Just jump into the staffing services, because then while they're looking for employees for you, you're focusing on the task at hand of what your job is, the improvement or whatever you're working on.
Absolutely. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and it kind of serves as a reminder to the candidate base that might listen to this recording, which is that, you know, don't force things. Don't answer dishonestly in interviews just to get the job, because you want to find something that's going to be an actual sustainable fit. You're going to be a valuable part of the company culture and be able to be productive, feel successful. You don't want to just force something.
Yeah, you don't want people just to have a job. I had hired an art guy. He was a great guy. His name was Matt, and I remember he was doing art for a while, and he was really good at it. He did like Topps cards and tattoos on the side, and he was like really good at it. But our art isn't really graphic design. It's more of just like, we tailor the art for screen printing, and we don't design anything, because most of our, I'd say 98% of our customers send us artwork that we have to use. We can't deviate from it. So I remember I had a conversation with him, and we were talking about a raise for him, and I was like, I can give you $1 more. I can give you $2 more, $3 more, whatever it might be that you could deserve, and you would deserve it. You're great at your job. But
Mm,
how happy will you be over the next year? Will this job keep you happy enough? Is this what you want to do? And we went back and forth for a bit, and we ended up on, he said, you're right. I think I just need to go do something else. And
right.
he left on good terms. And he left, and I believe he started his own tattoo business, and he progressed through his Topps card stuff, and like, he's doing great now. Like, it's like, sometimes, like, as an employer, you don't want to just hold on to the employee either, because like, if you see the employee somewhat disgruntled or almost like they hate their job or something like that, maybe get to the bottom of it. Maybe figure out what makes them tick. You know what I mean? Like, get to know the
Yeah.
employee enough to be there. It's like, yeah, you need the employee, but you also need an employee that wants to be there. You can see it in their work if they don't want to be there. There's no drive. It just isn't there. And compared to a person that is like just selling their self for the job, they selling their soul for the job, to a person that really wants to do good at the job, it's two totally different people in the work output.
Right. That totally makes sense. I really appreciate that perspective. It's not one you hear about, to be critical of your employees, not from a performance point of view, but from a buy-in. How much are you really passionate about this industry, and is there something else where you might be more, excited and encouraging people? That's a great story about that coworker who went on to have their own tattoo shop. Last question here, Russ. Looking ahead a year, what would success look like for your team and the parts of the business you oversee?
I think success to me would be that I believe success would look like no wasted time. A team that is always on task, continued employee growth, because I feel like if you can help your employees feel like they're doing a good job, that you can get them to feel like they want to be there, then your
Mhm.
company will grow too. Feed them, they will produce better. So a continued customer growth, so we can create more jobs to grow more employees into the best role they can achieve, is just like what we want to do. And I think that would be successful. Like, to me, it's not about the money or the numbers, because that will come with the people. And what drives a person, it's not just the money. It's feeling
Mhm.
good about what they did or produced or done. Or at the end of their day, they're just like, yeah, I did that, and just like, they can walk away at the end of their day and feeling good about themselves.
Definitely. Okay. That's awesome, Russ. I really appreciate your perspective on these things. It seems like you have a very good way of management and very people centric. So that's great. Service sounds a great place to work and to use your services. Before we bring this conversation to a close, was there anything else you wanted to share?
I'd say, as a people standpoint, get out there and help anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whether it's like helping them get a job, helping the person next to you, and people will help people. It's just, it's in their blood. It's in our blood to help one another.
Yeah.
The way the world is these days, everyone's so chasing the dollar. What can they make a quick buck on? And what can be the next thing? And to me, you can be prosperous and feel rich, not in money. You can feel the richness in the people that you help and the people that are around you. And I feel like if I could give anybody and everybody a job, I would try, you know?
Hmm.
And so even if it is at your local neighborhood, helping that old lady down the road with her car or something like that, helping that mom with her broken down car to get her kids to school, like those little things are the things that build your character as a good person. And I believe that good people can keep the world go round, and good people fit in to the better jobs.
Yeah. That's really well said, Russ. Very inspiring, honestly. And I appreciate the perspective you have on life and the workplace. Thanks so much for talking with me today. Before I close out completely, did you have any websites, social medias you wanted to plug for service?
Yeah, check out ServiScreen. ServiScreen's got a Facebook, and Innovative Machines also has a Facebook, and ServiScreen.com is, I believe, newly updated. I'd have to double check that, but it is newly updated, I believe, in the last couple of years. And we're continuously adding things and pictures of stuff that we do. But yeah, check us out at ServiScreen, and don't be fooled by the website. Just give us a call if you have an idea, and that idea could be real.
There you go. All right. I hope people will take you up on that offer because it sounds like you guys do amazing work. Thanks so much for joining the call today, and I'll go ahead and bring this conversation to a close. It was great to talk with you.
All right. It was good talking with you too.
Thanks, Russ.